The case of David Berkowitz, the son of Sam, remains one of the most infamous and discussed true crime stories in history. The fear he instilled in New York City during his reign of terror, the media's portrayal of him, and the ongoing fascination with his psychology and actions have all played significant roles in shaping the modern true crime genre. This chapter delves into the lasting impact of the Son of Sam case on the true crime industry, exploring how it paved the way for a deeper, more psychological approach to understanding crime, the killer's psyche, and the public's need to understand the darker aspects of humanity. David Berkowitz's case was one of the first in American criminal history to highlight the importance of psychological profiling in serial crime investigations. Prior to Berkowitz, law enforcement primarily relied on physical evidence and eyewitness testimony. However, as the Son of Sam killing stretched over months, the police realized that they were dealing with a highly intelligent, elusive individual who left few clues. The media's sensationalized portrayal of Berkowitz as a tormented, mentally unstable man influenced the investigation, making the psychological profile of the killer a central focus. In interviews, Berkowitz himself revealed contradictory statements, claiming to be guided by a demon dog, while later admitting his actions were the result of his own dark impulses. This revealed a complex web of motivation that experts in criminal psychology began to explore in more depth. Psychological profiling became a tool used by police to understand the killer's mind and predict his next steps. As Berkowitz became known as the Son of Sam, his case became a model for profiling future serial killers. The work done on Berkowitz's case led to the development of a more formalized approach to understanding serial killers, focusing not just on their crimes, but also on their psychological makeup. Berkowitz's case also marked a shift in the way true crime was portrayed in the media. Before the Son of Sam killings, the true crime genre was primarily confined to investigative journalism and the occasional documentary. However, the widespread media coverage of Berkowitz's crimes and his letters to the press created an unprecedented public interest in the case. The public's obsession with Berkowitz was compounded by his taunting letters to the media, his cryptic messages, and his later psychological explanations. These letters not only fueled the public's fear, but also served to make Berkowitz a media spectacle. The media's treatment of him, turning him into a larger-than-life figure, sparked a shift in how the media approached criminal cases. Berkowitz was no longer just a faceless killer. He was a character, a villain in a real-life horror story. The coverage of Berkowitz's case played a key role in the rise of the true crime genre in mainstream media. True crime books, documentaries, and films began to proliferate in the years following Berkowitz's arrest, capitalizing on the public's insatiable curiosity about serial killers. His case would become the subject of documentaries and books, and the psychological elements of his story, his delusions, letters, and media manipulation set the stage for the deep dives into the minds of other killers that would follow. As Berkowitz became a media icon, so did his case become a prime example of how the media could both exploit and shape the narrative around a killer. The Son of Sam killings weren't just about the murders, they were about how a serial killer could be turned into a myth, a media-driven figure whose story captivated the nation. While Berkowitz's case became a cultural sensation, the families of his victims were left to contend with their personal grief and trauma. For them, the media's obsession with Berkowitz only added to their suffering. Every new headline, every new interview with Berkowitz, and every documentary on the Son of Sam case meant reliving the pain of losing their loved ones. The victims' families often found themselves thrust into the spotlight, their grief consumed by the public's obsession with Berkowitz's narrative. For some, the public's fascination with the killer was a cruel reminder of their loss. For others, the media's focus on Berkowitz's psychological state seemed to overshadow the real victims, the young men and women whose lives had been senselessly cut short. As Berkowitz's story continued to unfold, it became clear that his crimes were not just an isolated incident, but part of a broader conversation about violence, fear, and justice in American society. His case sparked conversations about how society should deal with those who commit such heinous acts, and whether justice could ever truly be served for the victims. Berkowitz's case continues to be a source of fascination for the public, psychologists, criminologists, and media outlets. The psychological depth of his crimes, the complexity of his motivations, and the media frenzy that followed have left a lasting imprint on how serial killers are perceived and studied. The lasting legacy of the Son of Sam case is felt not only in the criminal justice system, but also in the way we approach true crime media today. Berkowitz's story, full of contradictions, media manipulation, and psychological intrigue, has become a template for the modern true crime genre. His case helped shift the focus from the crimes themselves to the psychology of the killer, and this approach has become the standard in the true crime world. As true crime documentaries, podcasts, and books continue to captivate audiences around the world, the story of David Berkowitz remains an essential part of the genre. His case is not just about the murders he committed, it is about the cultural obsession with criminal psychology, the media's role in shaping public perception, and the enduring fascination with the minds of those who commit the most horrific acts. As Berkowitz continues his life in prison, his case remains a subject of both academic study and media speculation. His psychological makeup, his shifting narratives, and his eventual attempt at redemption continue to provoke debate. Was he truly a victim of his own delusions, or was he a cold-blooded killer who used mental illness as an excuse? Stay tuned for the next chapter in the Son of Sam saga, where we continue to explore the complex layers of David Berkowitz's legacy. The Son of Sam case, with its chilling brutality and complex psychological twists, is often cited as one of the most pivotal moments in the history of American criminal investigations. Beyond the media frenzy and public fascination with David Berkowitz's persona, the case profoundly influenced the way law enforcement approaches serial crimes, the development of psychological profiling, and the public's understanding of criminal behavior. It also sparked wider debates about the role of the media in sensationalizing crime and the potential consequences for victims and families. In this chapter, we will explore how the Son of Sam case continues to impact modern criminal investigations and forensic psychology. We will examine the case's lasting influence on criminal law, victim advocacy, and how it shaped the methods used in the investigation of serial killers in the years that followed. We'll also dive into how Berkowitz's case helped shape public perceptions of crime, punishment, and the true crime genre. Before David Berkowitz's killing spree, serial crime investigations relied heavily on physical evidence and eyewitness testimony. But the nature of the Son of Sam case, its randomness, its fear-inducing anonymity, and Berkowitz's puzzling psychological claims forced law enforcement to reconsider their approach to criminal investigations. Berkowitz's crimes defied the conventional understanding of serial murder, making it clear that psychological profiling and a deeper understanding of the killer's mind were critical for solving such cases. The FBI's Behavioral Science Unit, led by experts like John Douglas and Robert Ressler, had already begun developing psychological profiling techniques by the time the Son of Sam case unfolded, but the case brought these methods into sharp focus. As the killer evaded capture and continued to taunt the police, experts analyzed his letters, his choice of victims, and his seemingly erratic behavior to help formulate a profile. The Son of Sam was a case study for modern criminal psychology, a seemingly ordinary man who became a monster, influenced by delusions yet capable of executing precise and methodical attacks. His case is still used in criminology to study patterns of violence, psychological manipulation, and the intersection between mental illness and criminal behavior. Berkowitz's later statements about his motivations, specifically his claims of being under the control of a demon dog, became central to psychological discussions about the mind of a killer. Experts debated whether his claims were truly indicative of mental illness or if they were manipulative fabrications designed to distance himself from the brutality of his crimes. Today, the methods used to capture Berkowitz are seen as an early example of psychological profiling in action. By studying his behavior, letters, and the psychological patterns of serial killers, law enforcement and psychologists gained invaluable insights that would influence how future serial crimes were investigated. The Son of Sam case also marked a turning point in the relationship between crime, media, and public perception. Berkowitz's use of letters to communicate with the press and his ability to manipulate the media's portrayal of him turned the case into a national spectacle. It demonstrated how the media could shape not just the narrative of a case, but also influence the way the public perceived both the victims and the killer. As Berkowitz taunted the authorities with cryptic, often surreal messages, the press played an essential role in turning him into a cultural icon. While his letters helped police track him down, they also fueled the fear and paranoia that gripped the city. The media's coverage of the case went beyond facts and into the realm of sensationalism. The lines between reality and entertainment blurred, with the public more interested in the killer's twisted mind than in the lives lost. The media's obsession with the Son of Sam case had lasting consequences. It prompted legal discussions about the ethics of covering violent crimes, particularly the idea that criminals could profit from their notoriety. In response, the New York State Legislature passed the Son of Sam law, which sought to prevent criminals from profiting from their crimes through interviews, books, and other media outlets. But the question remains, did the media's coverage of Berkowitz serve the public interest, or did it sensationalize the tragedy and inadvertently encourage other criminals to seek the spotlight? The Son of Sam case remains a complex lesson in the power and potential dangers of media influence on the criminal justice system. The Son of Sam case also had a direct impact on the way serial killer investigations are handled today. Berkowitz's ability to evade capture for so long forced law enforcement to rethink their strategies. Rather than relying solely on physical evidence or eyewitness accounts, investigators began using a more holistic approach, combining forensic science with psychological profiling. After Berkowitz's arrest, the FBI's behavioral science unit became more involved in serial killer investigations. Their work with the Son of Sam case helped refine criminal profiling techniques, allowing law enforcement to better understand the patterns of serial offenders and anticipate their next moves. The Berkowitz case highlighted the need for law enforcement to consider psychological factors, such as the killer's motivations, background, and state of mind, alongside traditional investigative methods. Furthermore, the case brought attention to the necessity of coordination between local and national law enforcement agencies when dealing with serial offenders. The complexities of tracking down an elusive killer like Berkowitz, whose movements and behavior were difficult to predict, underscored the importance of having a comprehensive, collaborative approach to solving serial crimes. As the Son of Sam case became more widely known, victims' families found themselves thrust into the media spotlight. For them, the ordeal was not just about seeking justice, it was about ensuring that their loved ones were remembered as individuals, not just as victims in a media spectacle. Many families expressed frustration at the public's obsession with Berkowitz and the attention his case received. For them, the media's focus on Berkowitz's letters and psychological state felt like an affront to the memory of the lives he had taken. The case sparked a conversation about victim advocacy and the need for more support for the families who were left behind after such tragedies. While Berkowitz was the one who gained public attention, the families of the victims were often ignored or forgotten. Over time, the case highlighted the importance of supporting victims' families, ensuring that their voices were heard, and helping them navigate the long and difficult journey of justice. The Son of Sam case, along with others that followed, contributed to the formation of victims' rights organizations, which continue to fight for the rights of those affected by violent crime. These organizations advocate for fair treatment, emotional support, and greater recognition of the pain caused by criminals. The legacy of Berkowitz's case includes not only a better understanding of serial killers, but also a greater focus on the needs of victims' families and the importance of treating them with dignity and respect. Even decades after Berkowitz's capture, the Son of Sam case continues to captivate the public imagination. Documentaries, books, and podcasts continue to delve into the details of his crimes, exploring the psychology behind his actions and the cultural impact of the case. Berkowitz himself has become a fixture in popular culture, referenced in everything from TV shows to crime novels. His story is seen as one of the most complex and chilling in the history of serial killing. This continued fascination speaks to the broader cultural obsession with crime and the criminal mind. The Son of Sam case, with its psychological complexity, media manipulation, and public fear, has become a benchmark for how serial killers are discussed in modern society. Berkowitz's case helped lay the foundation for the true crime genre as we know it today, driving the public's insatiable interest in understanding the minds of those who commit the most horrific acts. David Berkowitz's case remains a foundational example of the intersection of crime, psychology, media, and public perception. His crimes and subsequent manipulation of the media have had lasting effects on criminal investigations, victim advocacy, and the way the public views serial killers. As we continue to analyze the impact of his case, we must ask, what does the Son of Sam teach us about the nature of evil, media responsibility, and the potential for redemption? In the next chapter, we will explore the final aspects of Berkowitz's life behind bars, his continued attempts to shape his narrative, and the unanswered questions about his true motivations. What lessons can we learn from the case of the Son of Sam, and how does it continue to shape our understanding of crime and justice? Stay tuned. Please subscribe, like, share, and drop a comment below.